Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our NXT review. I gotta say, it was a solid episode of NXT. I had fun with it. I mean, Lucha Underground definitely blew it out of the water for me this week. I know the past 2 weeks I said that I felt like NXT had the upper hand. Well, Lucha Underground really rallied back this week with a strong right hook. But that can't take away from what NXT did really well tonight. We got some pleasant surprises, some intriguing turns in segments, some developments I didn't expect in certain segments, and some fun matches along the way. So I feel like they did a lot of fun stuff. Didn't really leave quite the impression on me that Lucha Underground did. But yeah, still a fun hour of NXT. Partner, what did you think of it?
Oh, absolutely. I thought that this was a really good episode of NXT. I might actually be higher on this episode of NXT than you are. You seem... you seem like you're kind of happy about it, but you don't seem overly enthusiastic about it. I'm actually quite enthusiastic about this, although I do agree with you that Lucha blew it out of the water. I still think that this was a really, really strong episode of NXT. I would agree with you that it's not necessarily on the same level as the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I do think that NXT is kind of following this current trend of really, really strong shows. They've had 4 pretty strong shows consistently in a row now.
Yeah,
and I'm really happy about that. We had a lot of stuff to unpack tonight, so if you want to just get right into our first segment, brother, I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get right into it with Heat of the Night. And no Heats of the Night tonight and no nitpicks. I'm really at the point with this show where, it was fun, nothing really offensive, and I'm just really curious about your take on a lot of stuff, so I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I don't have any heats of the night, but I do absolutely have a nitpick. And usually heat of the night we kind of reserve for creative decisions that we completely disagree with that we think could have been done way better. Nitpicks can be a combination of something that we subjectively didn't like from a creative decision, like just the wrong person going over, or a character piece that we weren't a fan of, or like a move that was maybe too dangerous that we didn't like. Just little things like that like we're not overly angry about, but we think need to be tweaked. And that's what I have tonight.
Okay, what's your nitpick?
Nikki Cross, girl, I really like you as an in-ring worker, but tone it the hell down.
You know what? Honestly, when you were going through the definition of a nitpick, I was racking my brain through the show, like, am I sure nothing bothered me? And I'm so glad you said that, because even seeing what she did tonight, like, I love the woman to death, and I want her to succeed. But, man, was she looking like a tryhard with the whole crazy thing. That was kind of a fear I had with Sanity. Yeah,
well, and it's not even a problem across the entirety of Sanity. It's exclusively a Nikki Cross problem from what I've seen. Because, first of all, Eric Young nails crazy. No one does crazy better than Eric Young. I'm not even going to bring him up. But I think Sawyer Fulton and Alexander Wolf may be a little bit over the top, but what I like about them is that they seem enthusiastic about how crazy they are. Like, we're crazy, but we're happy about it at the same time kind of thing.
Exactly.
Whereas with Nikki Cross looks like a normal girl trying to pretend to be crazy to fit in with the cool kids.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good assessment of it. And it's a shame because all the talent's really there. And I do think, thankfully, and that's why this is probably a nitpick, I do think it's a problem that can be redressed. And she could probably fit more organically into this whole mold. But yeah, just seeing her like biting the rope and scratches, like it kind of evoked imagery of like a George the Animal Steel or something from like the 80s, that really cartoonish
even
type of
so character. Much as slapping herself in the face as she's about to deliver her finisher, I thought was over the top. Like, crazy people don't slap themselves in the face. People who think that crazy people slap themselves in the face are who slap themselves in the face. That's right. That's not something that an actual crazy person would do. That's just something that people kind of, stereotype crazy people to doing, and that's not a good thing. It's kind of like what you say, the Mick Foley quote, you're not crazy if you yell and scream and get over the top. You're crazy if you sit around naked eating brownies watching TV and you think there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, exactly. And it's funny you pulled that quote from my brain because I was just getting ready to reiterate it. I always go back to that Mick Foley line because I think that is really a template.
One kind of crazy. There's more than one kind of crazy, but at the same time, you kind of, the type of crazy that isn't real is this kind of crazy. Like, this isn't an actual crazy. Like, honestly, all I would say for Nikki is go back some, I would say watch Roxy Laveau in TNA, watch some Daphne, maybe try and pick up on some of her mannerisms, maybe check out some, I think the Twisted Sisters. They work over in California. One of them is Thunder Rosa, who plays Cobra Moon, but they're pretty good at crazy. There are a lot of women that have done crazy in the past that did it well, that didn't do it like obnoxious and over the top. And I would say the two that I would immediately go to are Roxy Laveau and Daphne are the two big ones. But yeah. Nikki, I like her as a worker as far as in ring, but she was just way too over the top tonight.
I completely agree with you. I really am glad you brought all that up, because that's definitely a nitpick we co-sign on. And again, I think the world of her. I do think it's a problem that could be easily remedied. I just hope that she does, because I'll tell you, like, Sanity has such a cool look and a cool vibe about them. But Nikki Cross, she did take me out of it tonight. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, okay. So, that's really where we're at. But other than that, is there any other comments you want to make?
I don't think so, no. I think I enjoyed the rest of this show way too much to let anything else kind of get on my mind.
Well, I love to hear that. All right, let us get right into our NXT review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
We open this baby up with the only way that NXT knows how to open a show anymore, a recap. We open up with a recap of Joe Nakamura, their whole beef that they've had with Joe injuring Nakamura, and then the whole run that he had beating random people up and doing the give me Nakamura or hand me my championship. And then once we kind of get through that, we see last week's fight that they had between the two of them, and then we get to a actual NXT.
Yeah, so very cool recap, brings us up to speed. Nothing more I can say about that. So how do we formally open up NXT?
With a tag team match, Rich Swann and No Way Jose versus Tony Nese and Drew Gulak.
What did you think of this match?
I would say that out of the two tag classic matches that we got tonight, this was the worst of the two. But it's not necessarily because it was a bad match. It was just because this was one of those matches where it was like, yeah, Swann and Jose are going to do their thing, but Nese and Gulak aren't really going to be able to get that much in. They're going to do all the stuff that we've already seen before, and that was exactly what it was. Nese did pretty much all the same spots that we've already seen from him, the cartwheel off the apron into the super kick. Gulak did most of the selling in this match, which isn't surprising because they wanted to bring him in as a freaking coach, and then they decided to just use him as a developmental talent and really as sort of a jobber in the cruiserweight division. So that's not too surprising. No Way Jose ended up picking the win on Gulak with that full Nelson slam that he does. And the best part about this whole segment was the pre-match and post-match dance parties by Swann and Jose.
Oh, these guys are going to be a tag team commodity real quick. Everybody should know that I love these guys together. I am high on No Way Jose. I know you've been high on No Way Jose from the beginning, and you know how I feel about Swann. I mean, that goes without saying. On the Nese and Gulak side, I'm going to be honest, and I'm only really saying it here because we're still on hiatus from Raw and SmackDown interviews. It frustrates me that these guys are a team, because these guys are brilliant in singles, and that's what they should be doing, and they should be doing singles with time. And that's what I would like to see in NXT, but I'm not really holding my breath, especially Gulak, who, if you really took it seriously, could be a monster-like killer heel, kind of like we feel like Ciampa has that some more potential. I would say the same about Gulak, absolutely. And Tony Nese. Guys, go back and listen to our Cruiserweight Classic live reactions, on episodes where Tony Nese was competing, because I think he had 2 tournament matches, and we just thought the world of the guy. He has a great look. His athleticism is on point, and the idea that you stick these guys in a tag team that I don't really feel the synergy from, and they're just so superior in singles, really is just something that frustrates me again. But the finishing sequence, the full Nelson slam from Jose, Swann doing a beautiful dive off the top rope to Tony Nese to take him out. So great stuff there. And then the post-match, can you handle this? No way.
No
Jose.
Way. Jose.
Yeah.
You handle this. No way. Jose. Yeah, I've got another theme song that I'd like to pick apart a little bit later on tonight, but we'll get to that.
And, I like it. I dig it. It seems like there does seem to be that synergy there. It does feel organic given their temperaments, their personalities. And if these guys are a tag team post tag team classic, I could see them. I think it would take a little bit more time because they're not as much like a serious gimmick, but I could see them as future NXT tag team champions. Absolutely. I just think it's a matter of right place, right time. I love these two together, and let's see how far they can take it. They're facing Authors of Pain next, so I'm not getting my hopes up, but we'll see.
All right. Well, that being said, I think it's time for us to move on. Up next, we had a Tye Dillinger interview, and he's got a match, and he confirms that he's got a match with Bobby Roode at TakeOver in Toronto.
Yeah, I love Ty's babyface fire here. You see him in the trainer's room, and I love the line that he had. Bobby Roode may not keep his word, but I know William Regal will. And he said, I know he's going to grant me a match for November 19th, right, for NXT TakeOver Toronto. And
one day before Survivor Series, if I'm correct.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that would be November 19th, yeah.
So I loved it. I thought it was great. Fire from Tye. And I love how he looks at the trainer after wanting to afford him more ice, and he's like, I'm fine. And he walks off. It's this to me again, and I feel like I owe him this since I really took the piss out of him last week, really shows the dimension and variety of Tye Dillinger, because normally I'm used to him cutting those comedic, with those witty undertones of, oh, look how I work in being a 10 in my promos. This was straight serious. He didn't even reference being a 10 this time. And I liked it because I wouldn't want him to mention something like Dusty and then being a perfect 10 in the same promo. I don't know. It just feels like it would be kind of off kilter to me. So he played it totally straight. He said, this tournament was about Dusty and Bobby walked off on me. I'm not going to forgive him for that. I am going to have my revenge. And I like that fire from Dillinger. I really hope he wins in Toronto. But again, another instance where I'm not holding my breath, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about that with TakeOver Toronto preview and predictions when that time comes. So.
All right. Well, that being said, do we want to move on?
Absolutely.
Austin Aries also had an interview. Really just was asked who his partner is, and he said that you'll find out later tonight, and that it was going to be the person who would help him win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
And I love his line at the end that in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, only the greatest and the strongest survive. I thought that was a nice little wink to those that maybe consume a lot of wrestling. Maybe they'd get the reference. And even those who didn't, I still thought it was clever because it's like, oh, I gave you a hint, but it kind of, flew over, past the plate, if you will. So I actually like this promo from Aries. I'm not saying he's growing on me, but it was a good promo. And, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, yeah. This was all right, and then the match that we had later, I thought was really good. So,
yeah.
Up next, we had our second match of the night: Bobby Roode versus the guy that you had a bit of an eye for in the Cruiserweight Classic, Sean Maluta. Yeah,
what did you think about this bout, man?
I thought it was pretty good. I like that Sean Maluta didn't really put up with Bobby Roode's shit so much. He let him get in one glorious, but when he was going for the second one, he hit a drop kick on him and then did a little bit of a glorious pose himself. That being said, though, of course, Sean Maluta isn't going to be beating Bobby Roode anytime soon. Roode wins via Impaler DDT.
Yeah, this match was what everybody expected it to be. Of course, Sean Maluta wasn't going to get totally bitched out, but you knew it was Roode's match to win. I will say, I think he's like a wealthier version of Tyler Breeze, I guess, because he was saying, you don't touch me, you don't touch, and it harkened me back to Tyler, and I loved when Tyler Breeze did. Nobody does it like Breeze. Don't touch me, and then just going right back on the attack.
Yeah, let's be real, though. Breeze does it better.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, nobody can do it like Breeze. That's what I'm saying. Like, I definitely think he's better. The Impaler DDT from Roode is growing on me. I definitely like the preceding.
Hell, a lot better than the lame-ass pump handle slam he did at frickin' TakeOver.
Definitely. I agree. Plus, you can infuse your gimmick more with this Impaler DDT because he does the glorious pose beforehand. So, and honestly, I was hard on it before. That was my error. I think really when you look at it that way, it just shows that Bobby Roode, and he should, after all the years he's been doing it, he understands the business. A finisher's one thing if it looks devastating, but if you can kind of imprint yourself onto it, it's just going to be leagues better. And Roode's managed to do that with this DDT. So big ups to him there. He grabs a mic and he spits some serious truth, pretty much talking about how Tye Dillinger is a loser. He, did beg Bobby Roode to be a part of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. and Roode being the good man that he is, which otherwise why would he be trying to class up Full Sail if he wasn't a good guy, wanted to bring Tye Dillinger up to his level. But, that effort was futile. And before Roode could even finish his promo, he was rudely interrupted by the Perfect 10, Tye Dillinger. I like the brawl that ensued here, and I like even more that Dillinger got the upper hand, because if he was to be punked out 2 weeks straight, I want Dillinger to be sympathetic and kind of a scrapper, but I think we really needed to see that him and Roode are equals. That Tye Dillinger, through all this time of him paying his dues and putting his time in, has elevated his stock and his status, because that, I think, is going to make the TakeOver match more believable. So I did like that he got the upper hand here. I thought this was good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, dude, you know what? I give credit where it's due, but I also have to be critical when when I feel like it's a necessity, even if it is on somebody that I consider a favorite of mine. I am not a big fan of Tye Dillinger throwing, or the punches specifically that he threw in this match. I didn't think that they looked good. I thought that, if you're in a brawl with somebody and you want to really beat the hell out of them, you're not going to wind up 3 feet to throw a punch. You're going to freaking get in there and throw as many and as, hard punches as you can. And he had this big long wind up like freaking Byron Leftwich trying to throw a deep ball, and it just didn't look good. That being said, though, everything else that he did other than the punches, and by the way, I'll also add, I think Full Sail helped the effect of the punches, because they kind of made sense that they would be a little bit slower because the crowd was chanting 10 every time he hit a punch. So I thought that really helped, even though I think that was more Full Sail helping Tye than Tye specifically going out of his way to get Full Sail to do that. I think that was just Tye not being great at throwing brawl-style punches and then Full Sail compensating, rather than Tye being like, if I throw a slower punch, I can get them to chant 10 every time. That's not what happened. But that being said, though, everything else in this segment was great. I love Tye's fire. I love how up and intense he gets when he gets in the ring and starts fighting someone, and that lariat over the top rope to close things was great. And of course, the amount of over that this man is truly mind-boggling.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, ahead of our preview predictions, my dream scenario is that Tye beats Roode, Joe regains the championship, and somewhere down the road we get those two to meet in a ring, because Dillinger is so freaking over. They need to tap into that, and this segment just further solidified that fact. So I enjoyed it. I do agree with you about the punches. I'm actually glad you caught that, because I think, honestly, it shows you that Full Sail helped, because I think with them saying 10, it took me out of really scrutinizing the quality of the punches. So good job for once, Full Sail, and just good job overall from these two. I really can't wait for their TakeOver Toronto match. It may actually be my most anticipated match on that card. So,
absolutely. All right, so up next, we had a we already talked about that. So up next, we had a Liv Morgan interview. She starts to talk about how, the girls attacked her, but she doesn't make excuses and that kind of stuff. And then she gets attacked again. So Billie Kay and Peyton Royce absolutely destroy her. Peyton throws her into a big boot from Billie Kay, and then they drag her out to the top of the ramp in front of Full Sail crowd and finish her off with kind of like a shining wizard from Peyton Royce. And then Billie cuts a promo talking about, Liv was about to complain about getting beat up, but then she got beat up again. And then she has the mic over to Peyton, and she says that she wants to put all of the women in NXT on notice, including Asuka, women's division, and then they say this part in unison, belongs to us.
I love it. I love that these two are a tandem. Yeah. Anybody that knows me knows I really enjoy nothing more than seeing the weak get picked on, and seeing Liv just get beat down just made me smile so wide. Maybe now she'll learn her place. I thought it was great just seeing her get dragged out for Full Sail, just to see her beating for themselves. And Billie Kay and Peyton Royce are just dynamite right now. See, and let me just say this too. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce getting this time to shine is one of the things that I still love, come hell or high water, about NXT. Because if you stick around with somebody long enough that you believe in, and it even seems remotely that the company believes in, you're going to get your payoff eventually. I'd still like to believe that with Tye Dillinger, and we may get that validated at Toronto. But with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, like we were seeing these guys either job or not be on the program at all. And now they're doing this. So that is one of the thrills of NXT, is if you stand by somebody, and it does seem like they could go somewhere legitimately, you get your payoff inevitably. And this is great. I just love that they're running roughshod, and especially picking on Liv Morgan. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So can we kind of officially agree that Peyton and Billie are better than the BFFs and Team Bay and all of those other teams?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I'm loving them together. I can't wait to see what they do next.
So up next, we had our third match of the night, and damn, this was great. Tucker Knight and Otis Dozovic, or Dozovic was what Tom Phillips was calling him. I don't know which one is correct. Versus Austin Aries and his mystery partner, which we've known for a little while now, or at least we kind of felt like we knew, Roderick Strong. Oh, this match. And I want to, but just before we go on the Roderick Strong hype train, because he was phenomenal in this match, Tucker Knight and Otis Dozovic did a freaking wonderful job in this. They remind me of War Machine.
Yeah, that's a great parallel, dude. Great parallel that I wouldn't have thought of. And I was even getting ready to field to you. I know you more so than me. Now, I'm a Roderick Strong fan. I'm not trying to say like I'm a hater. It's a Sami Zayn thing. I'm a fan of Roderick Strong. But I know you've sung his praises for a long time. And I know you already said, like, he had a great debut, but, like, did it exceed your expectations? Did it meet them? Do you think he's going to fit in NXT well?
I have been on the Roderick Strong hype train for over a decade now. I've liked this dude going back to 2005 when I first saw him work in TNA. He is great. And this debut, I won't say it exceeded my expectations, but I will say it definitely met my expectations. And the only reason I won't say it exceeded my expectations is because I don't think commentary did a good enough job of selling how freaking great this guy is.
Yeah, that did kind of disappoint me. Like, I get, right, when you have to change your pants when Nakamura comes out of this and that. But
I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to interrupt you, but it just amazes me how on the same page you and I are, knowing that we literally didn't communicate about the show whatsoever before going into recording.
I know, right? But, you know, like, they make a big deal about the show.
I think we might have even both had our mics muted, but either way, we didn't say a word to each other throughout the show. I didn't hear you react to anything. I doubt you heard me react to anything. We finished the show at 11:26. You hung up on Skype. I made the Google Hangout so that we could get into this review. And between the other stuff that we had to take care of, because I had to take care of some things in my house, you were on Facebook and I had to send you the link to the Hangout, and we had to get our background straightened out and everything like that. We had no time to actually talk to each other about this show. And we are agreeing with each other on everything. And these aren't little things like, I like this, I didn't like that. These are specifics. Oh, Nikki Cross was over the top. Oh, Dozovic and Knight were like War Machine. Oh, Roderick Strong could have been better if the commentary would have hyped it up more. We agree on this stuff, and we haven't even talked about it with each other yet. That is how on the same page we are. It amazes me.
Yeah, it is crazy. But I mean, like, to get back to my point, you know, they go crazy when a guy like Nakamura debuts. Totally understandable. They make a big Bobby Roode, big deal. Even Austin Aries, who I'm sorry, I know I praised him earlier, but I still got to take the piss. I still don't know what the big deal is exactly with Austin Aries. And with Roderick Strong, I was like, yeah, they were excited, and you could hear that. But this guy has been doing this for this, if not longer. He's in that same realm as a Bobby Roode, over a decade. In fact, he was a part of a faction in ROH the decade. He has all those years of experience. He's won all these titles. He was an amazing PWG champion, which I don't know if NXT could mention PWG, but I mean, you get my point. And it just seemed like, it was kind of underwhelming on commentary's end. But I will say this, as far as Tucker and Otis here, when Tucker Knight would do singles, I was really underwhelmed by him. Because I'm like, his look is pretty generic. Like, yeah, he's a big guy and he's got this big gut and everything, but it's not really anything that's like, wow, he's imposing. I think a tag team is the perfect fit for him, because I think when you put him alongside somebody that's just as imposing and kind of, big as he is, in that way, it goes from, oh, wow, that guy, it's just like a slob kind of walked in the wrestling ring to, oh, man, this could actually be a legitimate force. So I actually think in this case, a tag team helped him immensely. Otis was very impressive. I agree with you. I enjoyed his burst of athleticism that we got to see in this thing. But the man of the fucking hour, Roderick Strong. And I'll tell you, I like him and Aries as a tag team. Do they have any prior history as a team or no?
They might. I don't remember. I think they might have actually teamed up in TNA for a time.
You know, that would make sense. That would make sense because these guys seem to click right away. Like, they were doing double team moves that I thought were clever. Like, one of my favorite spots in the match, Roderick tried going for a sunset flip, I want to say, on Otis, and Austin Aries took the tag. And then he punched Otis, and then he fell back on Roderick's knees and the springboard elbow, you know, kind of shades of the Dirt Sheet duo. And I really like that. And then the fucking finish. Oh, my God. Roderick Strong getting, I believe it was Tucker Knight in that fireman's carry. Discus forearm to the head by Aries. Double knee gut buster. And then when I'm thinking you could just pin him off of that, Roderick does the sick kick. And it's gorgeous. Such a great debut. I would actually say this is the highlight of the night for me, was Roderick's debut.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He was actually, I'm looking right now, and Roddy was actually an ROH World Tag Team Champion with Aries. So this really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Yeah,
and it's great to see them doing it in NXT. And you know what? I like this kind of debut for Roderick because it's different. I feel like every other big name kind of debuts on their own singles merits, and we know damn well that Roderick can do singles. But I actually like that he's in a tag team right now. I think that's cool. I don't think we've seen that, honestly, since Finn Balor, because he originally came in to help Itami against the Ascension. So it's really cool that we get to see this again. Like, oh, a guy is just joining up before he breaks away and does his own thing. And it was stupendous. I really enjoyed this. Great to see Roderick again, you know, now on NXT. Great to see his
Roddy and Aries were also in a stable together with Jack Evans in Ring of Honor back in 2004 called Generation Next.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
And it's funny, they're called Generation Next, and now they're in NXT.
NXT? So. Oh, my God.
Yeah, all comes full circle. So happy for Roddy. That's what pro wrestling is all about, and just amazing debut. If you have anything else to say, I'm good. So I'll leave the floor to you if you have anything you want to add.
In 2006, Roderick Strong formed a stable in TNA with Austin Aries and Alex Shelley. So, yeah, it's safe to say they have a history.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. So I've personally, what I really wanted to talk about in this match was actually the opposing team, Tucker and Otis, because to me, you know, absolutely Roderick Strong was the star of this match, but those guys are on my radar now.
Yeah.
Seen them as anything. Honestly, it's funny that they just brought in Big Damo, just signed him. He's in the same crop as Tommy N and Crazy Mary Dobson. Because really, Otis Dozovic reminds me of Big Damo. He looks like him. He wrestles like him. He's built like him. It's crazy how similar they are.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Do you remember Big Damo?
No, not really. Not really ringing any bells.
Well, because I know, I mean, what you guys might not know about us is that we actually watched the first episode of WCPW together. We actually recorded live reactions right up until the main event, and then our stream cut out on us, so we couldn't finish the main event, and we weren't enjoying the show anyway, so we just never put up the live reactions.
Oh, you know what you're saying, WCPW. Yeah, I don't want to cut you off, but yeah. I do remember now. You saying WCPW, that's where he came from. Now I remember, because wasn't he the main event of the first episode? And he was the representative?
Yeah, he was the main event of the first episode against Joe Hendry. And yeah, he's like a bigger guy with long hair and a big beard, kind of like, you know, the War Machine guys or both of the guys on this team. And as far as the build goes, he's actually really similar to Otis Dozovic, in my opinion. I really, and really, you saw Otis was looking like he was getting ready to do a bonsai drop on, I think it was Roderick Strong that was down for that move. And I wonder if that's his finisher, because that's a totally believable finisher from a guy that size.
I mean, hell, you're talking about one of the all-time greats. Yokozuna used the bonsai drop. He won world titles with that shit. And, I mean, Otis is a big guy. I believe in beating people with that. And, again, for Tucker Knight, who we have seen before, I'm happy for him because I could have never gotten behind him in singles. Maybe I could have with a different character or something, but I think a tag team just seems like a really snug fit for him. So I'm happy he has this because I really do hope they team. Well, I mean, they'd really have no other choice. They're out. I mean, Aries and Strong eliminated them. But I hope this isn't the end of their tag team, and I hope they actually keep moving it forward because I loved what you said at the beginning. These guys could be NXT's version of War Machine. They're baby faces. They're exciting. Like, it's just such a great juxtaposition when you see a guy the size of Tucker Knight doing a drop kick, or you see a guy Otis's size, you know, doing some of the athletic stuff he does, and even like preparing to do freaking bonsai drops. You know, that's really cool. And I think if NXT was smart, especially with, because, you know, you never know when more call-ups are going to happen in the tag team division. Pretty soon we won't be seeing Gargano and Ciampa on NXT anymore, or the Revival, or even AOP, because with how imposing they are, you'd have to imagine they'll get a main roster call-up probably in like Nia Jax fashion very soon. You're going to want to, you know, rebulk up. And yeah, I think these guys would be a great addition. So completely agree with you.
Yep. Yeah, I really enjoyed these guys. So let's just move on, because and by the way, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, because we already brought up commentary and how I wish they would have sold Roddy Strong more. Exactly, did they not get informed that Roderick Strong's finisher is called the sit kick? Like, that's not copyrighted anywhere. He's clear to use that. They can call it that. Like, why would you just call it a running drop kick?
Yeah, I didn't get that at all either, because I was waiting for Tom Phillips to make the sit kick call, and he didn't, and I'm like, oh, yeah. So it's whatever, I guess.
It's frustrating though. I mean, yeah, like you know, you can't really like kind of linger on it just because it's WWE and they're going to do whatever the hell they want. And
right
to this day, I don't think they pronounced Tommaso Ciampa's name correctly still. But it's still frustrating when they continuously do this kind of stuff. Like,
oh, certainly.
Have to be ignorant. It seems like you're going out of your way to do it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see. Up next, let us talk about a Andrea DiMarco sit-down translation style interview with Andrade Cien Almas. She didn't really ask him any questions. She just translated for what he had to say. And the gist of his promo was, in order to come to the United States in NXT, I had to take my mask off. And that is a massive sign of respect that I was willing to do that to work here, but that respect hasn't been reciprocated from the NXT universe. So now I'm going to stop caring about respect and start caring about Andrade Cien Almas.
I love that he brought it back to the fact that he had to demask to adapt to the U.S. culture.
We saw it in his vignette promo, dude. We knew it was coming. Yeah. It just came later than we thought.
Yeah, and I'm glad he brought it all full circle. I thought this was a great promo, succinct, which makes it even better because he didn't have to draw on his points. Yeah, I enjoyed this. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was great. All right, so up next we had our fourth match of the night. This was Nikki Cross versus Danielle Kamela. We already did touch on this, but I will say, even though Nikki Cross's mannerisms and, you know, kind of the over top, I'm crazy, haha, look at me, I'm so crazy kind of stuff that she was doing was cringy, her finisher is sick. It's a sidewinder fisherman neckbreaker, and I loved it.
Yeah, I love it too. It's funny because you have Peyton Royce with a beautiful snap fisherman suplex, and now Nikki Cross with this sidewinder, you know, fisherman neckbreaker. And I love the snap on it. I love the quickness of it, just like Peyton Royce's finisher, because it looks devastating and effective. So in ring, I mean, Nikki Cross is so polished and so exceptional. That's why I want her to get the character stuff down, because if she does, I'm telling you, that NXT Women's Championship is an inevitability. She may have to wait a while to get her turn, but she would get her turn. I think it's great. You know, quick match. Very quickly dusted off Danielle Kamela. I will say this, since we already aired like prior grievances about this match, I hate that the decision got overturned. I really didn't see a point in that. We've seen post-match beatdowns all the time in NXT where the decision doesn't get reversed, and I really don't get, like, why do that here? What purpose that's, unless Sandy's going to have a future segment where that referee gets attacked. Then I'd forgive it, which, I mean, with Nakamura laying people out left and right and Joe doing attacks, it's readily believable to me. So I'm going to hold out hope that that happens. But if that doesn't happen, yeah.
I might have just gotten desensitized by you know, the amazingness that is Lucha Underground. But I was waiting for Eric Young to hit that damn wheelbarrow neckbreaker on Danielle Kamela here.
Yeah.
That would have been so good.
I know, dude. That heat, though. Oh, my God. This is why... No, we already had a Lucha Underground review. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but man, you really do see the distinctions between the two brands and their approach to presenting pro wrestling. And there are times when a different approach can make a world of difference. And this is one of those times. But yeah, we already talked about this at length in the Heat of the Night segment. I've got nothing more to say. We can move on.
Yeah. All right. Well, up next, we had next week announcements. We're going to be getting Team DIY versus the Chinese team of Bing and Loon. Ho Loon, we know him. And then Bing is the big Chinese signing that they made while they were over in China, as well as Ibushi teaming up with TJP to take on Lince Dorado and Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, should be some very fun tag team matches. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the Tag Team Classic this year. I actually am enjoying it more this year than I did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so up next, Shinsuke Nakamura came out for a champion's address, and it was actually relatively simple. He really says is, Joe, you want my title at Toronto? Come get it. And then he's just kind of like, I don't even care. I've got this. It's all good. But then we get some very unfamiliar music, and rarely heard in NXT is a sea of booze. And then we see the Titantron, and it's Patrick Clark, the living legend himself, the 21-year-old Patrick Clark, coming out to mix it up with Nakamura. Reminds him, hey, man, the last time you and Joe mixed it up, you ended up almost dead.
Yeah.
And then he calls himself your Velveteen Dream. I don't even know what that means, but I love it. And then he tries getting in the ring and almost immediately gets kicked pretty much to death. But while Nakamura is kicking Patrick Clark to death, Samoa Joe tries a sneak attack, but Nakamura is ready for it, turns around, is aware of his surroundings, and Joe, not wanting to die as well as Patrick Clark, backs off. And Nakamura, kind of wanting to send a message to Joe, hits Patrick with a Kinshasa before turning his attention back to Joe. And be like, all right, well, I guess I'm not getting my sneak attack in tonight. I'm out. And he just leaves through the ramp.
Yeah, you know what? This was so much better than I thought it was going to be. Because to be honest with everybody, if there's one thing that I don't really care for about Nakamura, because I don't watch Nakamura for that, it is his mic work. He does have some great sound bites, when he was feuding with Aries. And he said, and Aries said to him, oh, I don't understand you. And Nakamura's like, oh, me either. Yeah, I do love when he gets to be weird and playful. But when he does an extended promo, I'm like, it's all right, but I want to see you knee people in the face. So Patrick Clark's interruption was a welcome surprise. And honestly, it's funny that you said earlier, you were amazed how in sync we were because we couldn't really hear each other. I heard you pop for Patrick Clark, and it just put the stupidest smile on my face. I loved it because, he's just so good. Really loved his promo and how believable he really presented the gimmick. I'm like, what's going on here? And then Nakamura just easily disposes of him. And then we get to Joe. And how Joe has treated Nakamura since he's been back is one of the reasons why Joe is my favorite heels in the game right now. Because you're talking about a guy that for weeks was picking on either small fries or just straight up nobodies or a combination of the two. And being all aggressive and violent and, bring me Nakamura, as if he could do so easily to Nakamura what he had done to all these other people. And then the moment he gets the chance, he tucks tail and he runs. I mean, it's heel 101, but it's with a fresh coat of paint. It's not like, oh, Joe is stepping in his own shit out of fear. No, he will beat the shit out of people, but he's far more tactical with Nakamura. That's why he tried to do the sneak approach that failed. But I love it. You're all big and bad with your chest puffed out because you're picking on the likes of Dan Matha, the human penis. And then Nakamura shows up, and it's like, oh, you got nothing to say. I don't know. It's great.
Oh my God. They wanted us to take him seriously.
Please, I just jokes keep running in my mind about Dan Matha, but I won't get into that here. And Joe is just
phallic.
It's basic heel psychology exhibited by Joe, but it's heel psychology to me that actually works because of who Joe is. I know we get annoyed when a guy even though he's been so good recently, we used to get annoyed when a guy like Miz would do it, but I think it actually takes on an air of oh, that's humorous, or oh, that's this, when you look like Samoa Joe. Because on any given night, he could beat the shit out of anybody, and he's choosing to run for the hills because of this guy. And that just shows you how legit Nakamura is. So I just love the way the whole thing was handled. This was far better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you had low expectations for it, but yeah, it ended up being pretty good. And then that was actually the end of NXT, John. So if you want to move on, we can do our next segment.
High spots and low shots. My low shot's Patrick Clark because he may be the Velveteen Dream, but his
I don't care that he got Kinshasa from here to Timbuktu. He mixed it up with the world champion. That is an unright or an unjust rather low shot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that is big for Patrick Clark to do so early on, even though it did end the way that it did. But still, he may be the Velveteen Dream, but I mean, his first shirt's really going to say open mouth, insert foot because he crossed Nakamura's path on the wrong night. So Patrick Clark is my low shot. Who's your low shot?
Well, I mean, you kind of gave me a pretty huge roster of options here. I think my honorary low shot is going to have to go to Nikki Cross because, like I said, and like we agreed on, she was really over the top from a character standpoint, but more importantly, she technically lost. I mean, she won, but then the decision was reversed, so she lost. So,
yeah,
sucks for you, Nikki. But my actual low shot has got to be Liv Morgan.
Yes.
You said, I don't have to talk like Billie and Peyton, and then you started to talk, and then you got shut up by Billie and Peyton. So enjoy continuing to be a lower card female on the roster while Billie Kay and Peyton Royce beat ass on their way to Asuka and the world title.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that egg meeting your face, loser. God, that was so good. High spot, going to keep it real simple. I'm going to do the team of Austin Aries and Roderick Strong. What a debut for Strong. I mean, him in particular, I really want to illuminate. It was his debut. He killed it. He owned that shit. And this is a great team, and no wonder they are because you already ran down their prior experience with each other. So they are easily my high spot.
Yeah. My high spot, I'm going to keep it nice and simple here. My high spot is going to go to Tye Dillinger because not only does he get a match with Bobby Roode in Toronto, but he got a measure of revenge on Bobby Roode in the ring tonight while Bobby Roode was verbally trying to emasculate Tye. So, yeah. Good job, Tye.
Yeah, good on you, Tye, for standing up to yourself. So with that said, are there any concluding remarks you have about NXT?
I don't think so. I enjoyed tonight's show, and I feel like our review was like pretty much perfect. Nice and elegant. We covered what needed to be covered, and we didn't go too far into anything that didn't need to be gone into. So let's close it out, brother, and we can I don't think, do we have anything that we're going to be doing in between now and then this coming Wednesday? Do you want to do PWG Bowl live reactions, or do you just want to watch that in private?
I just wanted to watch it in private because it came out so late. So I just thought that'd be something you and I can enjoy.
All right. Well, I put out a tweet kind of teasing like, hey guys, you want Bowl live reactions? And it got 4 likes, but nothing else. So it doesn't seem like the demand is really too high. So I apologize, guys. We're not going to be doing Bowl live reactions, but we will be watching the shows live, and we'll probably be, tweet about all the amazing matches. And one of the matches on the show might even make our match of the year list for our year-end awards, which is in less than 3 months. It's in like 2 months and 2 weeks or so. So that's pretty exciting. So, John, that said, go ahead and close us out, brother.
All right, guys. This has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you give the video, the more likely it is to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And like I always say, when you're the best that does it, there's no other place you belong than at the top. So be sure to leave a like on your way out. We greatly appreciate it. You guys already know all the stuff to check out, our social media, our Facebook, everything, because of the glorious backgrounds that my cohort and commentary here makes. What you may not know, though, is to submit questions for Q&A. Guys, we do Q&A the last Friday of every month. That is going to be the 28th of this month. So be sure to get.
By the way, John, I don't want to cut you off most of the time, but in this case, I just wanted to get this in before you closed out the show. We are so close on Patreon to getting to the TWitWoW back on iTunes goal. The goal there, it's $20 a month, and I think we're at like 19 and some change. Like, I might be able to just make up the difference for that, but it'd be really great to see you guys showing the kind of support to get us actually up to the goal there, to get TWitWoW back on iTunes, so that you can go back into the history of TWitWoW and listen to our old shows from back in like 2011 and 2012, and you get to hear us talking about things like Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose and Ryback before they got big. Kind of see how ahead of the times we were even back then. Plus, you get to hear it on audio, and you don't have to watch it on YouTube. I know that some of you might be on YouTube Red, but for those of you that are only on YouTube Red for TWitWoW, you could take the money that you're pouring into YouTube Red, just put it into our Patreon, get us that much closer to the $20 a month that we need in order to get back on iTunes. And if we get back on iTunes, then you won't need YouTube Red anyway, because the only reason you would use YouTube Red if you were only using it for TWitWoW is to save your phone battery when you listen to TWitWoW on the go. It's, YouTube sucks up so much phone battery, and we really want to get back on iTunes, but we can't be pouring our own money into it because, we've done that before, and we ended up pouring hundreds of dollars, and specifically I ended up pouring hundreds of dollars into it, and it didn't really benefit us much. But we want to help you guys out, but we need you to help us out first. So we just need to hit $20 on Patreon. We're up to 19 and some odd change, so it's really, really close, and that's why I wanted to bring this up here. And I just wanted to kind of toss that out there for those of you who are interested. The link to Patreon is on the background. It's just patreon.com/TWitWoW. It's really easy. You can donate as little as $1 a month. If you want to do 5, 10, 15, 20, that's up to you. But just help us out a little bit. We're that close to getting TWitWoW back on iTunes, including the backlog, because we would go back to Podbean where we were before for $20 a month. And it would be, it would restore everything that we had done before the move to YouTube. So that's just me making sure that you guys are aware of that and that that's a thing. So I'm going to stop talking now and let John finish his outro.
Hey guys, like my cohort and commentary said, we're that close to crossing the threshold. I know PW Gregory, he often tears WWE a new one for calling Roman Reigns a difference maker, but you guys could legitimately be difference makers for getting us back on iTunes, getting the archives open for yourselves, listening to those classic TWitWows. We are right there. So who's going to help us cross the threshold? But as it relates to Q&A, you guys already know, last Friday of every month, it'll be the 28th of this month. You guys get 5 questions per Q&A. You could submit them anywhere you want. You know our social media by now. You know where to reach out to us, how it all goes. If you're going to leave questions for YouTube, I highly suggest, and in fact, it's the only way you could do it, leave a formal comment. Don't ask questions in chat. Wait till you can leave a formal comment and leave your questions there. If you want to do YouTube, everybody gets 5 questions per Q&A. You can divvy those questions up however you like, and they can be on topics both wrestling and non-wrestling. So start racking your brains and hit us with your best shot. But until then, we will see you again for our Lucha Underground live reactions. And guys, I'm telling you, I don't normally make the sell on an outro, but next week, Lucha Underground, Johnny Mundo, Sexy Star, Gift of the Gods. You know how I am in every big-time Johnny Mundo match. If you've got a pull going on, if you're talking to your local bookie and you're saying, I got $10 that John dies, or I got $20 that he'll explode but he'll live, it's all going to pan out next week. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. I always lose my shit, win, lose, or draw. This live reactions is going to be special, and that's why I'm really going out of my way to tell you guys you'll want to be here. You want to be here every week for sure, but next week is going to really be one of those special weeks. You'll want to be here. I really hope all of you guys tune in, especially now that we do this live format. I think it just adds that really extra special element to it. So be here for our Lucha Underground live reactions, where Johnny Mundo will finally put the Gift of the Gods Championship in the Palace of Wisdom. And until then, guys, tune in and peace out.